what did you do? What did you do outside of the White House?
Yeah, well, so first we fought DEA and we had them the first loss. So in 2001 they came after us, and we were in court in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in 2001. And February 6th of 2002, we were supposed to dispose of all of our inventory or become like Schedule 1 drink, kingpins with all our hemp inventory. And February 6th is Bob Marley's birthday, and which I didn't know till later. But on February 5th is when the court backed DEA down. It was the first time we got the court to back them down, and then had a series of victories that culminated on February 6th, 2004. And that's when we got a clean sweep of the court declaring hemp food and products legal. But we still couldn't grow it. We still couldn't farm hemp, even though we had a large market for hemp in the US. And we were basically handing this market to the Canadian farmers, the Chinese, the European farmers. It was ridiculous. Yeah. And, we're fighting under Bush, and then finally we got Obama, and we're like, all right, we got Obama. And he's promised to base policy on reason and science. And, we expected to have hemp farming, within a few months. But then we're getting into like 2009 and nothing's happening. It's the same drug warriors are in place as under Bush, driving policy. And, and he was just disappointing us on a lot of levels. And Jack Herer had a stroke. So Jack wrote the book, Hemper Wears No Clothes. And, it's really about the kind of secret history of cannabis that the government had systematically suppressed, but just how important hemp was in the US and across the world. I mean, it was like our second largest crop up to like 1900. All of our, clipper ships with their sails, all hemp canvas, hemp rope, canvas covered.
50,000 uses, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was just such a crucial crop, and so Jack really was the one who uncovered that history, and was just a hero. And he would be blazing acid, like doing his like PowerPoint up on the Washington Memorial in like the late 80s. I mean, he was such a hero.
It's great.
Yeah. And So on Obama, we're getting really frustrated. We're like, come on, man. And as an Illinois state senator, he'd voted for hemp cultivation like a few times already, Mm-hmm. So the first thing we did in 2009 is get some ceremonial shovels and dug up the DEA's lawn, their headquarters in Arlington, and dug up their lawn and planted hemp seeds and invited all the media out. And like all these cops and police and DEA agents were there, and they're trying to like intimidate us out, because they don't want to arrest us because they know that's just going to make a shitstorm of media. And we're like, no, we're going to keep planting hemp seeds. So like for half an hour, dude, we're like planting hemp seeds on their lawn. These shovels that barely work. They're like ceremonial shovels. And so they finally arrested us, and it was just awesome. I just had like, we got this Washington Post like front page story, and we
exactly what you wanted.
Yeah, exactly. And we just had uncovered that the USDA's own hemp farm was the Arlington field, and it was where the government grew out all the different hemp varieties that, like, for example, they even restarted hemp farming for World War II. There's this whole hemp for victory when our hemp supply got cut off by the Japanese. And so anyways, the government's own farm is where the Pentagon is now cited, is like, that's where the government grew hemp. And so we got this awesome Washington Post story about all of it. Nice. And then in 2012, now we're like, it's like Obama's fourth year and like still nothing, And so then we, to kind of raise pressure, I strategized, okay, I'm going to harvest hemp in front of the White House in a cage. So the cops can't get at me, and we put jacks on. So we jacked up so that they couldn't just tow us away, and got like really burly locks. And you come in there with a PA, like with some hemp plants, harvesting hemp seeds and making oil and like making toast and yelling at Obama and everyone who listened about like, well, why are you making my family send hundreds of thousands of dollars to Canadian farmers in the middle of the worst recession ever? Like, this makes no sense. You voted for hemp farming, and like had this big sign, Obama let farmers use hemp. And I was in there for a few hours, harvesting hemp, and I was in there a lot longer than I thought. I was like,
it's steamy in there.
Yeah, because the cops couldn't get me. They didn't have the tools. But finally, the called the firefighters out, and they had a huge saw, and they like sawed through. And yeah, if you Google, like, I don't know, hemp
and
harvest White House.
some of those images are dynamite.
Yeah, and just like kind of the tradition of civil disobedience, and just to change unjust laws and practices, and and that's that's what makes this country great. And I think like a lot of times people, they think like, oh, it's reflexive, like kowtowing to police and the military and the flag, and it's like, oh, that's what we got in common with every other totalitarian state. What's different is our control of police power and our tradition of protest. And like, our country was founded. It's like for like, the 1%, the white guys that had 40 acres of land, they could vote, and Thomas Jefferson, without blinking an eye, says all men are equal, and he owned slaves, and slavery was an institution. And, and then we fought a war and freed the slaves, but then we got Jim Crow, and we got the whole segregation. And then we got the civil rights movement, and that like finally ended Jim Crow and segregation. But then you got Nixon and the drug war, which is basically a code of race. Now you start speaking about race, but in code against criminals, and then you wage the drug war inside communities of color, so that now we have less than 5% of the world's population, but over 20 or close to 25% of the world's prison population, primarily Black and brown people. Right. And but now that's now we see the civil rights movement kicked off here again in such a massive way, and in and Trump, we get Obama, right? Another huge thing. Wow, we're fucking awesome. And then we get fucking racist Trump playing the same race baiting shit. But now the reaction to Trump is shit. Now we got Black Lives Matter, and like now I feel like we're finally ready to make some real change, and it's super exciting. And so that history of civil disobedience and protest and making the laws better and expanding rights for more and more people. That's what makes America America.